All right. We're really excited to be joined back after the podcast with Coach Mike Williams. Coach, thanks so much for joining us again. And we're excited to talk about this late game crunch time session with you.
No, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Before we get into the film here, set the stage as far as where you were at with your season coming into this game.
Before this trip, we had lost 2 games in a row, and we were really struggling to just kind of figure out these late game situations. We had lost a game to Westchester earlier on a foul with 0.9 seconds left. They sent the game to overtime, and we lost in overtime. Then after that, we lost basically on a buzzer beater to Windy City. So we had lost some tough games that were tight at the end. So we were just trying to find ourselves. And it was a very pivotal moment in our season. The game before this, we had ended up winning on a late floater by Dejan Giroux. And we're just trying to figure it out. We're going through a lot of growing pains as a team. We're a young team. These 2 games in particular really, really got us going because Grand Rapids had won before the first game. Grand Rapids had won 6 in a row. And I believe they were either first or second in the East at the time. So it was a really good test for us.
Coach, in terms of confidence, outside of you just got to go through it and trial by fire, what are maybe the conversation you're having with your staff or with your players about trying to just build a confidence so when you get in the next late game situation, you feel like we're going to be on the other side of the coin this time?
I think the best way to frame it is just that this is part of our learning and our development, right? It's not always going to be smooth. We're not going to win every game. Obviously, you want to learn by winning, but sometimes losing really gets the message home. And so we were just telling our guys, listen, it sucks that we lost these games, but we can use this as motivation and fuel for us moving forward. Now, the key is just to take what we've learned in these games that we've lost and apply those lessons to the future so that when we get in this situation again, we can have a different outcome. And at this point in the season, our staff were always saying it all matters. Every little detail, every box out, every time you get back on transition, every contest, everything you do matters. And so just make sure guys were aware that all the little small details are going to impact us winning games and coming out on top at the end. One of the big ones were just our pick and roll defense. We were a more aggressive team being up at the level. And so make sure that we were actually at the level, impacting the ball with our bigs. Then our guards were pursuing, communicating the correct things so we can get back in front. That was something that we were really struggling with. Offensively, we were just trying to find flow, making quick decisions with the ball, shoot it, drive it, move it. Teams were going under. They were going under so far on us at this time in the season, really throughout the whole season. Sometimes we would just stop and wait. And so making a quick decision, being aggressive to the paint, and then making a play in the paint, whether it's a pass or a shot or whatever it is. Those are 2 of the big ones at the time.
We talked about in the podcast, this was your first year head coach, G League, and all the learning that you did personally. At this point, do you feel different or changed or more confident in late game since you went through a couple of tough losses early, like knowing the personnel you're going to go to down the stretch, knowing the sets, anything like that?
Yeah, I felt like things just slowed down for me at the end. Earlier in the season, in those type of situations, they just seem to happen so fast. I don't want to say scrambling, but it felt like I was scrambling at the end, trying to get everybody in the huddle and draw the play up and make sure everybody's in their right spots. At this point, we had a couple of these situations, so they slowed down. And you can sense them coming, right? And you see that this game is probably going to come down to maybe an end of game side out or any half court. You can go and refer to your pregame card or your preparation card with 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and you just find little moments of time here. Just go and glance at it so that when the time comes, you're exactly sure of what you want to do, and then you can clearly articulate that to the team.
Well, Coach, let's hop into the film here. So you're up 4, 245. Maybe set the scene for us as far as what you're trying to do defensively at this point in the game.
So we're switching 1 through 4 on the ball, still being aggressive, pushing up the screen, making sure that the guy on the ball is getting underneath the screener. With our 5s and pick and rolls, we were up at the level, right? We had experimented with a little bit of drop coverage in this game, but at the end, we went back to being more aggressive because that's what we were best at. So it was really that simple. The first pick and roll was great. Right? Jaime, our center, he was up at the level, impacting the ball. You can see right there, he's above the 3-point line. He's got 1 foot above the 3-point line and buys Joel, our point guard, time to get back in front. And then as the play progresses, the second one, we still want to be that aggressive, right? So it comes back off this little handoff. We still want Hyman to be up the floor, right, impacting the ball with high hands. And then Jordan Shackle, who's the low man, he has to tag early and high, and then he can close out to Corneli. The key to this is that Joel has high hands, right? We talk about contesting passes and making it difficult. I think his hands being up makes this a lot harder pass. Quite agreeance of throwing an errant pass out of bounds.
Coach, on the first pick and roll, how long do you want the big staying with the ball?
Yeah, the big stays until the guard tells him to leave, right? So it's not 1 dribble or 2 dribbles or anything like that. Once the guard comes back and calls square, our term is square. Once the guard calls square, now it triggers the big to retreat back to his own man.